I'd like to call this meeting to order. The regular meeting of the Jerome Town Council. It's Tuesday, January 12th, 7 p.m. So we'll call this meeting to order. Candace, could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mayor Dillenburg,
Here?
Vice Mayor Worth,
Present.
Ms. Barber,
Present.
Ms. Harvey,
Here.
Ms. Moore.
Here.
Great. Thank you. Good to have you all here. Glad you're all safe and okay. Let's move on to item number 2, the financial reports, please, Candace.
That would be Melanie.
Melanie, are you there? I didn't see you.
Yes, I'm here.
And I see Sage has her hand up. Let me just find it. Sage, yes, may I help you, please?
Yeah, I just had a little concern. I talked to Candace about one thing, and I understand that. Another thing I found in the financials is the sanitation usage fees.
Yes, it went down. There is a reason, and it's because one of the restaurants here in town were closed during the last, like over the summer, but he didn't have his rates changed.
Oh, okay.
So
I
they
know
decided-
exactly what you're talking
Okay,
about.
that's why the usage is lower, because
It's
we had to
so
give
much
it credit.
different. Yeah, I was like, that is so much different than the water and.
Right.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
First, okay, that makes
Good.
sense now. Thank
Good.
you very much, Melanie.
Oh, no
Good,
problem.
thanks, Sage. Melanie, please. Any other news to report?
Nope, just answer any questions anybody has.
Any questions? Hearing none. Okay, thanks, Melanie. That's great. And I think we don't have to do anything at this point, do we? Nope, we're
And
good.
move to accept the financial reports.
I'll
Motion-
make the motion to accept the financial reports.
Thank you,
Seconded.
Alex. And
Second.
Second. Who was that? That was Sage? Yay. I love it. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 No? Okay, good. Thanks again, Melanie. Appreciate all your hard work. Stay safe out there.
Yes,
Let's
thank
get-
you.
Okay, best wishes. Let's go on with our staff and council reports, please. Candace, are we there? Are we?
Yeah, sure. Well, COVID.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah. As you know, you and I, Mayor and Mandy, attended the online meeting with Senator Kristen Sinema's staff regarding benefits for veterans. I haven't heard anything further from them at this point. I provided some grant information and I met with the auditors while they were here for a couple of days. It went really smoothly, and I want to commend Melanie for that. She was so well prepared, and we are going to have no recommendations in this year's audit.
Fabulous.
And he's going to present that at our February meeting for your
Thank you.
information.
Great job, Melanie, as always.
We also got it done a lot sooner.
Yay.
Fast. Let's see, we advertised and we've hired 3 new public works people after a long dry spell where we didn't have any applicants. We had 3 good applicants, and we've hired 3 and they're listed there. It's Ben Garza, Jeremy Wolf, and Aaron.
Aaron K.
So far, so good. They're all doing great.
Great.
It's great to have a full crew. I'll tell you that. Marty's much happier.
Good.
I finalized and I submitted those COVID expenditures to DEMA. I'll mention this later probably, but also the porta potties and the signs. It looks like we have a better chance now of being reimbursed than we did last month. So I'm hopeful about that. I started looking into CDBG funding for emergency subsistence payments. There's a new program out there. I did talk to NACOG. They're going to get back to me, but right now it doesn't look like that's going to be very feasible for us, unfortunately. It's a bear, and it's federal funding, and they're not prepared to really handle it, I don't believe. I signed up with Open Media to utilize live streaming technology, which I was testing tonight, but I can't seem to get that control here. Thank you, John. To set it up on YouTube. I didn't tell anybody because I'm just testing it. So I don't know if it's streaming on YouTube or not. It probably isn't because I had to do something here and I don't see what I can do, but I'm working on it, and it's free to towns our size. And even when we're done with Zoom, if we get some audio video equipment, we can start live streaming meetings now that everybody's kind of used to seeing videos.
Great.
Let's see, I started looking into establishing a nonprofit for Friends of Jerome. I'm still looking into that. It's going to be a long, long process, and there's a firm that will do the work for us that I'm talking to. I don't have a lot more information yet about that. I prepared and submitted the Prop 202 funding request to the nation, $20,000 for a kitchen facility to make our fire station truly an evacuation center, and for improvements to the police station bathroom to bring it up to code. Those were what were in the proposed letter that I sent. However, we will be able to use the funds however we see fit if we're awarded them, and that will come back to council for a final decision at that point. I started preparations for the next year's budget. I've sent stuff out to our staff, and hopefully we can begin budget meetings sometime in April, public meetings. And other than that, it was the day-to-day stuff. Congratulations to Kristen. She's been 1 year of full-time service already. That went really fast. She's doing a fabulous job. And Rhonda, our court clerk, has been here 8 years already, which is amazing.
Wow, wow.
And then I mentioned the new Public Works Department employees. Water flows are holding steady, and sales tax is still surprisingly good. I mean, we actually, in November, we brought in more this year than we brought in last year, and we've had things closed, which is
Amazing.
I have no way to explain that, but there it is.
It's good.
That's it.
Thank you. Any questions? Don't see any hands. No, it's great. All right, moving along with the other reports. Any question, anything from the building inspector, library, any of these things? Police chief, fire chief?
Dr. Mayor, I have a
Yes.
question for Candace.
Yes, please, Vice Mayor.
Candace, were you able to answer the question I sent you earlier?
Yes, and remind me, please, what that was.
Whether the resident, non-resident thing in the fire
Oh, yes, that was an
calls for
oversight.
service.
That was an
Okay.
oversight. He said it was at the bottom of the yearly list, but for some reason it didn't end up in the month.
didn't.
It's the December one, and we had a conversation about it, and he said it'll be back next month.
Okay. I like to see how,
Yeah,
kind of
I
the
think we all
balance of
do.
what are
Right.
we serving between residents and non-residents. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that information.
No problem.
Thanks, Manny. Can we move to item 4? We don't need to take action on these? Just approve
yeah,
the reports, just approve the reports?
Yes,
Can I get a motion to approve the reports, please?
Motion to approve the reports.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Manny. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Can I just mention one thing,
Yes.
Jack?
Of course, yes. Thanks, Alex.
Did everyone catch the last line in our police report? Alan
Yep.
Numa has met his requirements for retirement from our system and now has up to 5 years that he can continue to be an employee of the town. In his report a few months ago, he talked about he would like to continue work for the town and he would want to have a talk with us. So I don't know if he's going to spearhead that or if we should reach out to him or what we need to do. But thank you, Alan, for all your service and dedication. And we're gonna have to, again, what Mandy keeps talking about, succession planning. So
Yes.
that's all I have to
Um,
say. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, staff.
Dr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Alex, that is why succession planning, of course, but also more specifically during To From last month, I asked for a meeting about job descriptions and possibly an e-session because it is personnel issues. That was kind of the impetus, and then I started to make a short list of specific positions, but it was the that I knew that this was coming, that last line of Alan's report. So hopefully we can get started talking on that sooner rather than
Yes.
later. Thank
And
you.
I Yes, and I chatted with him briefly last week, and so I think there's some opportunity for us to work with him so that he doesn't move out so fast. So yes, I'm glad we're going forward with those discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Agreed.
If no other further questions. All those in favor of accepting the staff and council reports, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Reports accepted. Let's move on to zoning administrator report minutes, please. John. That was brief.
You're muted,
Are
John.
you muted, John?
Okay, now can you guys hear me?
Yes. And thank you for your report. That was great.
Moving on to item 5.
Moving on, yeah, good.
I'm probably not the first one to forget to mute themselves on Zoom.
Yeah.
P&Z meeting on December 16th was canceled due to lack of agenda items, and the DRB meeting as well. We tend to go into, my experience, things get a little bit lighter during that period before the holidays. We do have an upcoming P&Z meeting, which I wanted to make sure the council was aware of on the 20th, and we're going to be moving forward with the changes to the residential lodging. And we're going to be doing some work sessions on a few other things that are primarily ordinance amendment related. And one of those is we're going to be working on amendments regarding temporary signs. So that should be an interesting one. I've been spending a lot of time on code enforcement. I get almost daily calls now or emails regarding the temporary signs down near the high school. And we've been working on that, and I'll provide the council report on that in the next few days. Just a few miscellaneous items. I wanted to list some follow-up items. The 146 Juarez, which was a discussion at the joint meeting. They did a deck with a roof, and they did have to return the roof to the original condition. So I just wanted to make some follow-up on that. Been working a little bit with residential parking coordination and Janice. We have been, Dr. Mayor Dillenberg knows, we've been meeting with some folks who are now in escrow on the former Mexican pool site down there on Queen Street, which is kind of cool. They seem like they have the horsepower to put it through, to make it happen. Something happened on that site, and we have a special meeting set up for, I believe it's the 19th. I believe it's the 19th. Is that correct, Candace? Everybody probably just just looked at that poll today.
19th to the 20th. I don't know which. It's one.
Yeah, it must be the 19th because the 20th is our P&Z meeting.
Gotcha.
Been talking a little bit with the owner of a vacant lot on Holly, so near the mayor's, kind of down the street from the mayor's house, who's interested in building on that lot. Kristen, I got all excited, but I haven't heard anything else. But Kristen got a call from the owner, family members who own the so-called Tamale Ladies house. And I've never known if Tamale Ladies was possessive or plural possessive, but we may have some interest there in finally doing something with that property. So that would be kind of exciting. We've been having discussions with our one of our largest property owners in the area, Verde Exploration, and we're going to be doing some discussions with them, working on coordination issues over the next few months, I think. And I believe they will be doing a presentation for the council at some point. Yep. And Councilmember Barber is going to join us in addition to the mayor for some of those discussions. And then we'll bring some information forward to the council. And just in case this does come up later, I've been talking with the property owners that own the Turquoise Spider, and they're working with the owner of the Haskins, new owner of the Haskins apartment behind them, and we may be doing a lot line adjustment, or they may be doing a lot line adjustment. So that may be coming before our boards in the near future. Still working on the design guidelines, and as we agreed to last time, the community garden is on hold for now. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Any questions for John, council member?
Dr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
John, it's plural possessive.
I was always wondering. I thought it might be. Thank you.
Yay. Thanks, Mandy.
You're welcome. I'm excited to hear that somebody's calling again about that one.
Keeping the fingers crossed.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Thank you so much for letting us know.
Appreciate that. Can we get a motion to approve?
Ms. Harvey has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see. I apologize. I don't see on my screen, Sage. Sorry.
So while we're in John's report and he's talking about some code enforcement stuff, I'm not seeing anywhere, we discussed using the system that Alan has to track complaints for code enforcement stuff. Have we started doing anything with that? Did we all agree that sounded like a good idea or not? I don't remember.
That is an excellent question. I had a discussion with Councilmember Moore about this as well as with Candace, and our hope is to come back. Originally, I thought I was going to come back at this meeting, but our hope is to come back at the next meeting in February with a little more detail on process. We need to talk about possible ordinance amendments as well as changing the fees. I think there was some consensus or
Yeah,
agreement
I'm
on.
talking about for code enforcement now. I mean, if we're getting that many calls and you're forwarding that to the police department so that they're aware of it, it would be good to be able to track all of this stuff. And I spoke to Alan today and he said that it will save us a lot of time and money to use the system that he has. And he can share it with the town staff, but he can also limit what can and can't be public information from that system. So I think it sounds like a really good idea. We should probably start working on that.
That's a great suggestion, Sage. Is there something we can do to do something in the short term with that, do you think? To just get started, maybe as a pilot or something, just so we can move forward? Because I think you're right, Sage. I think that'd be a great thing to get started if we can. John? Sorry, Jane. Yes, please.
I do think that we need to have a further discussion about this and how it's going to proceed before anything is done.
Okay, good.
I mean, I did bring up some concerns at the last meeting, and I think we need to discuss it and get a system in place.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what exactly
Agree,
that
yeah.
would look
Yeah.
like.
Thank you.
haven't-
Jane. Appreciate that.
We haven't finalized the meeting for the 19th, so if we want to put just that item on for discussion on the 19th, we might be possible to do that.
Candace, is that something we could do?
Did we?
Yes.
You're muted, Candace.
Okay.
Your turn.
It's up to you. Yeah, if you want it on the 19th, I can put it on the 19th agenda.
Why don't we do that? Because that way, I think Sage and Jane are right. Let's get this going quickly. If there are issues, we can identify them soon, get them resolved and go forward. I think that's a great suggestion. So
Okay.
let's do that. Thank you. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Sage.
And just a quick sidebar, I see a box on my screen that says we are streaming live on YouTube.
Yes, I got it.
Yay, good job. Good job, Candace.
Uh-oh, we're
We're in trouble now,
I
right?
gotta tell you, I'm not going down that road. Okay, thanks. Do we need a motion to approve the zoning administrator's report in a minute? Or not? Do we need a motion to
No,
approve?
you don't usually do that, no.
Okay, then we won't. Thank you. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. You're really doing a lot of great work. Really appreciate it. Let's move on then to item 5, please, which are the approval of the minutes. And we got a bunch of them from November 24th special meeting, our December 1st joint meeting with the council and planning and zoning, our December 8th regular meeting that included an open and closed sessions. So can we address these all?
As long as everybody was at all of them, and I believe they were.
Yes. Any questions, comments, additions, or corrections on any of these, please? Hearing none, I'd like to accept a motion for approval, please, of all of these minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
Thank you very much, Sage. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Minutes are approved. Moving on to item 6, petitions from the public. Candace, what do we got?
We do have a petition. Hold on one second. It's from Artis Roque, and she's here. She wants to address several of the items that are on the agenda, and you might opt to have her address them as we get to them.
Okay. So that will be fine if that's all right with her. We can do that and give her the
Yes.
opportunity. Yes, I'm happy to do that.
That's fine with me.
Thank you so much. We want to make sure we respect your participation. So moving along then to our unfinished business. and we got a bunch of that today. Item 7A, the Cocodona 250 race. And I didn't see any of us signed up for it. I'm just curious, just checking to see, and we wanted to, I think we're going to hear from Steve. I don't know, is Steve online, available to give
Yes,
us an update?
sir. Yes,
Hey.
sir, I am.
There he is, yep.
Thanks, Steve. You want to bring us up to speed on where we're at from your perspective, please? We certainly
Yes,
want to go forward with this and appreciate your working with us on this and the folks at ADOT as well. So thank you. So please, carry on.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys being open to the idea and letting us pass through the town. I'm not sure if it had made it in front of you, but there was a handout that we could refer to. Basically, it's the second page, goes through the 6 items that were brought up last meeting that we were requested to make sure that we go through and work through items. The first was working with ADOT to ensure public and runner safety. Recommendations mainly at 2 curves. And I'm just going to run through the list of the 6 real quick first, and then we can go through each one if we'd like. Obtain permits from all applicable entities, mainly the ones surrounding Jerome, Forest Service, ADOT, the state park, Yavapai County, and Freeport-McMoRan. Those are all in progress. I have not yet received a response from Freeport-McMoRan, but we'll keep doing, trying to get that permit. Find a way to benefit Jerome was the 3rd item. The 4th, submit additional insurance documentation to Candace. Have strong COVID protocols and to ensure the safety of the locals and also the participants of the race, and then provide portable toilets at Jerome Historic State Park. So those are the 6 items. We either have completed or in progress all of the items. The first one was the ADOT recommendations. Would we like to review ADOT's recommendations? And
I spoke with them today. I happened to run into them today, and I was pleased to see the modifications that were made. I see Jane has her hand up. Yes, Jane.
Myself. Okay.
There you go.
Verde exploration needs to be added to the list. Any private property that's going to be crossed over, and Verde exploration is one of the properties. So you would need to check in with them too and have some kind of agreement with them.
Yes, ma'am. That's already in place. We have Verde X approval. So yeah.
Great.
And be able to provide all this in writing to the town.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay.
I'll make sure to add that to the list to provide. But yes, we are in contact with them.
Thanks, Jane. Good point. Thank you, Steve. Like I said, the folks at ADOT seemed they were pleased that things are moving along the way they are. So that was, you're getting some good feedback from them. So that's
John should be on the call from ADOT, and it's been a pleasure working with them. And I think we have a really solid plan on how to make sure that number one, the public is safe, but the runners and participants are as well.
No, it sounded good.
Okay, that's page number 5 for that. What I would like to propose is, with those being the 6 items, and I'll add the Verde X documentation as well to those 6, that that the town council provide preliminary approval, assuming we complete those 6 items. If we don't complete the 6 items, we won't be allowed to go through Jerome. And then I'll keep working on those items. And if you would like, appear back before the council in April to answer any final questions. And as soon as I receive any item, I'll forward it to Candace, but to confirm that I have completed those 6 items. That's what I would like to propose.
No, that sounds good, Steve. It sounds good to me. Council members, any questions or thoughts, or are you comfortable?
Dr. Mayor?
Oh, yes, Vice Mayor. Thanks, Mandy.
I would like to propose a motion
Yes.
to preliminarily approve the event based on the completion of the 6 items listed on the document in front of us.
Great.
With the understanding that if the 6 items are not completed, the event will not be allowed to pass through Jerome. And that the representative of the company will attend the April council meeting to provide an update on the events in the 6 items.
Correct. Yay.
That's
Thank
my
you. There's
motion.
a second.
I
There's-
second.
Thank you, Sage. Appreciate that. Any further discussion? I think we're at a good point. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Carry. Thanks, Stephen. Good luck. Best wishes. We look forward to working with you. And I feel real comfortable you're going to get all these things done and it'll work out to be a great event. And I know you'll reach out to the town at some point so we can all have a smile.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys take care.
Okay, appreciate it. You be safe out there. Thanks so very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
I
Karen.
just want to thank John Latier, who's on this, who's
Oh,
on.
John,
the
where
call,
are you? I did-
Because he's been really, really helpful with this
Absolutely.
process and spent a lot of time with Steve to try to make sure that everything right happens in the right way.
Absolutely. I second that. John, are you there? Can you say hello?
Thanks, John.
I'm here.
Yay.
If you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you. Thanks. Appreciate your work on this. I'm glad I ran into you today. That was fortuitous.
That was nice.
It was
Yeah.
nice. It was good. Good visit. So there you are. All right. Good. Thanks for all the good work. And it's a wonderful collaboration. And I think I'm looking forward to the event. And thank you for all your help with ADOT and everything. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. We met with Steve and walked through the site, walked through the town, and we looked at all the locations that were concerns, and they've done everything that ADOT has asked them to do. And I think they're doing a very good job of making sure they have a safe and successful event.
That's it. And the safety goes, and I think with the COVID-19 now, just making sure the safe distancing, the masking, and so on, in addition to what the usual safety issues, Steve, if you're still on there, of a normal event like this. But I think the fact that we have, be hopefully at the tail end of it by the time the event occurs, we still need to maintain that degree of safety. So thank you both very, very much. Appreciate it. Moving on. District signs. There we go. That's another sweetie. Candace, you want to guide us?
I'm moving right over to John for this one.
I thought so. John, 7B, district signs, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. John Knight, zoning administrator. So district signs is continued from previous meeting. That's why it's on old business. And one of the things the council, I had to look and make sure I wasn't on mute. One of the things the council asked us to do last time was do our best to reach out to some of the property owners, business owners who had signs on the district signs, had plaques on the district signs. So we did that. And I've included some additional information in your packet, just the comments. I did receive 4 comments back. We emailed as many of the people as we had email addresses for. So I probably emailed 30 or more people, and we did get these 4 comments back. And the comments in general that I've received range from people not really caring. It was, not really well executed in the end, to there was some concern about recouping some of their investment. And then also there's been some interest, if we do want to keep the district signs, that maybe we can upgrade those to a more modern sign and something that's has a little more longevity. And I had an opportunity to meet with Councilmember Moore after I'd first produced a staff report, and she had suggested and was interested in maybe creating a map if we do decide, if the council does decide to keep the district signs, including a map and a little more modern look to them. That would be, so anyway, we included kind of some concepts in the packet. That was one of the addenda that was included. And I took our parking map, kind of broke it down into districts, and had some examples of various district signs, various signs that could be implemented like a district sign. So I'm not sure the direction the council wants to go with that, but we just wanted to throw that out as an option if the council does want to keep those signs, or find a way to upgrade them to a more modern
John, I'm
style.
thinking, and I'll go to my colleagues as well on this, where there might not be some of them are really old, pretty funky, out of date, out of style, whether we should take them down at the moment and then come up with a good plan to replace them with some really, whether it be maps, whether it be whatever, you and Jane and the other
Mhm.
council members that have input on it to replace them. But I wouldn't be opposed to removing them at this point while we go through the process of replacing them with newer, more relevant ones that council members may be happy with. So I just want to share my thought on that with you. Are there any questions or discussion with John or things? Yes, Alex, please.
I think to try to salvage what we have, if there is at all a possible way to kind of reuse what we have and just redo the front of it, like keep the supporting beams and just try to kind of reuse it. And I don't know if anyone can see this one if I hold it up, but it kind of looks a little like our Jerome map anyway. It's the last page of the packet that we got about the signs at the top. It looks a lot like it's in our park, the sign and everything that they gave us in the packet. It's in some green lawn. And so I'm not saying that I'm dead set on that, but I like the idea of revamping the signs.
Yes.
Now, to not have them sitting there looking ugly while they're getting worked on, if we have to remove them to fix them up and put them back. I just thought, as far as penny pinching and saving money, if we could recycle what we have there and maybe just put a new front on it. Thank you for listening to what I had to say.
Thanks, Alex. Any other questions or comments?
This is Artis.
Artis.
Hi. I wanted to say something about the district signs. My suggestion would be kind of like when you go to a mall, like "You are here," a map of the town with something that says that you are here. And so you can orient yourself, but yet you see where all the other businesses are in town. And using the same district signs, the frame of it, so that you don't have to spend that extra money. And each of those locations have like a map and "You are here," because regarding the other businesses that are not on Main Street, how is somebody going to know that there's a Christmas store or that there's a grocery store up higher up by Haunted Hamburger, or that there's olive tasting, or down on Hull Street? So I think that would help benefit the whole town, where people could see where everything is and maybe update it once a year.
Very good suggestion, Artis. Thank you. And I see Jane is liking it and has her hand up, so I think she's probably going to comment on that. Jane, please.
I agree with Alex, that one at the top of the last page, the handout. It's pretty much what you're talking about, Artis. A map of the town, and we got a handout that has a map that's divided into different zones and the "You are here." And I'm thinking that we could retain those posts.
Yep.
And just put a sign, and we could put the same sign on in several different places, and then have all the shops numbered, all the businesses numbered. And maybe that part of it, like, is shown in that sign that we're talking about. When the businesses change, that little part of the sign that lists the businesses would be the only thing you'd have to change, because the map and the layout would be the same.
Thank you. It's good. Good point. Alex, both of you. I see Candace has her hand up. Am I missing someone else
Yes.
as well? Go ahead, Candace.
I just wanted to mention that regarding paying for that, we're bringing in sales tax at a much higher level than we expected to. And we had made our payment to the chamber of $10,000 to cover the 1% bed tax that we anticipated, but we're already bringing in more than that. So that money from that bed tax, that would be a perfect use for it, for those signs, because it has to be used to promote tourism, and that's clearly a good use.
That's great. Thank you, Candace. And I like Alex's idea. And I think maybe, and if we can have, and the same with Jane, if we could have the map that sort of looks Jerome-ish, if you know what I mean. I like the idea of not wasting money and recycling, if you will, the existing base of the signs, but let's be creative. I like that you're here now and just making it look like it really is, besides being accurate, that it really shares the Jerome feel. No, I think it's great suggestions there, and I'm glad we got the funds for it. So yes, Alex.
Okay.
Can I also get clarification at how many of these signs are actually in the ground in town right now?
I
I
think
is it,
there's,
John?
I think there's 4, but there may be 5.
4 or 5.
Apologize, I'm not sure exactly.
Now, Sage, I don't see a hand up, but I wanted to give you an opportunity if you had a comment or anything you'd like to share on this. And Mandy, are you okay with the direction that we're going?
And if I could get a little bit more direction from the council, I would like.
Rose is saying she thinks we may have 6 signs.
Thank you, Rosa. I'll
Thank you.
confirm that, but I would like to come back to the council with some estimates on what it'd
Yes.
take to.
Great.
I see Councilmember Moore nodding her head in terms
Yeah.
of cost, and
Yeah.
Councilmember Moore and I were thinking this is probably less than $5,000. So
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I'll
But I love
contact
the
some.
ideas. I love Alex and Jane's idea on this, the strategy going forward. So thank you for that. And John, thanks for leading
Well,
that discussion.
And we can simply table this to
Yes.
the next meeting in February, and I'll
Yes.
come back with some additional
Hopefully
info.
you guys will have an update. And if you have a sample, something, that'd
Okay.
be great. Jane, did you want to comment on anything, or you're just reaching up?
No, I was just thinking that the sign that Alex mentioned has it's almost like a 3D map. And I'm thinking maybe metal, something that's weatherproof that would hold up.
Yeah.
And then some attachment that has the list of the businesses that would be in a weatherproof area, that would have to be weatherproof somehow.
Yeah, and it has the age. I mean, I like that. I like that look too. I think that's great. We'll have some good discussions. I look forward to seeing what you ladies and John come up with at our next meeting. That'd be great. Artists, thank you too also for your input on that particular topic.
And Dr. Mayor, I see that Councilmember Harvey has her hand up.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Sage.
I would just like to suggest that if we use metal, that it maybe be copper.
Copper is cool.
Copper, I've heard of that.
Copper and Jerome.
I tell you what, I'll get some different examples
Yeah,
and
that's right. There you go.
some
I've
money,
heard
some estimates for you for next time.
Thank you. And now if we move to item 7C, and again, Sage, I want to thank you for your input on this one too with the bees. Really, you've really stepped up on this. I think, is Patrick online with us tonight?
I did email Patrick Pines a couple days ago, and I believed he was going to join us, but I don't see anybody named Patrick Pines on the.
Patrick, are you here under an assumed name or an alias or no? So we have this on the bees and Jerome, and so should we table this and see, John, at this point, what should we be doing without his input?
Well, we can just push this back to the back of the agenda. I can go text him just in case, and then.
Okay, let's do that if that's okay with my colleague.
He did mention that he had some limited experience with Zoom, so maybe he had some technical difficulties. So I'll see it once we move on to a different item. I'll see if I
Okay,
can
so let's
get
go.
in touch.
Let's move on.
Can I say, this is Artist Row, can I say something about the bees, or do I have to wait till the next time, you guys?
Well, we're going to talk about it a little later, but you may, while you're here, please, what would you like to say?
Well, I know we've been having a large problem with bees, and I was wondering, a lot of them congregate around the trash cans.
Yes.
And we've gotten a lot of bees in our store, and also we've had a couple of people stung in our store by the bees. I was just wondering, it seems to me like if we had some kind of a lid on the trash cans.
We've been discussing that, Artist. I don't want to interrupt you, but that's been the issues. There are a lot of issues that come in when you modify your garbage cans relative to the lid, the makeup, where they are, and so on. But yes, that's something we've been talking about, getting a bee-proof lid and how that would react with the visitors, with the locals, with the town crew for removing garbage, but that's certainly on the table in the discussion. No question about it.
Oh, okay.
So you're right on with that.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
good, but thank you for the input. But yes, I'm looking forward to finding a solution there because, and I'm learning in this process, you got good bees and not so good bees.
Hmm.
And we just have to make sure we're doing it appropriately. So,
Well, it would also help with rodents and skunks
Yeah.
and,
sure,
and,
absolutely.
just more sanitation all the way around.
Yep.
Even those big trash bins, that people, residents dump all their garbage in. I mean, I remember when my mom was alive and the bin's right across from her house. And I was concerned about all the critters that would go into that.
Sure.
So,
Well, it's all on there, and we'll keep. And you're certainly welcome to continue participating with your knowledge and thoughts. So thank you.
okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. So we're going to put that off until we have that discussion with Patrick. We'll see if we can get on there tonight. Then we're moving to the Porta Johns, which we decided to reduce the numbers there to save a little money, and we're getting some mixed reactions on that. I think the ones over across from the Spirit Room there by the recycle bin there, that one is being overused according to the company. It's really, and there have been recommendations, I think by the police chief to maybe get a second one there because that is such a popular spot in that area. And you get all the motorcycles parked there. And I think a lot of these motorcycle folks just stop in Jerome to take advantage of those opportunities. So I wanted to get a sense of the council. What do we think? We've reduced them. We're saving a little money, but I'm hearing that one in particular is being overused. The toilet paper is being used up very quickly. It's getting filled very quickly. And want to get your input on this, please. Any questions or thoughts?
Sage has her hand up.
Sage, please. Yes.
I just want to say that according to Alan, it's some locals, and then I think we got some letters from some business owners that are
Yeah.
seeing people drop their drawers and go to the restroom anywhere in town. And all I got to say is grow up, first off. Second off, isn't that indecent exposure? And why do we get to reward it? That's my thinking is that if you cannot control yourself to go and walk and find a bathroom and you got to pull your pants down in the middle of a town, that is indecent exposure and they should be getting the cops called on them.
Okay.
If we need to put the porta potties back, we need to put the porta potties back. I'm just
Well,
really
maybe one.
disappointed.
I think the only thing I heard, Sage, is that basically one in that area, not to put the ones in the middle area, because I think people are still concerned with the wonderful bouquet of aroma that came out of it that was affecting people. But I think so, not so much in the middle area, but just for the one there, because there's so much traffic there during the course of the day. So that it would be just one porta potty back.
I have a question. This is Artis.
Yes, Artis.
Actually, I'm going to have Tom, my husband, speak about this.
Point of order, Ms. Artis.
Oh,
Let me just, council needs to be able to have the opportunity to speak first and then Jack can call on you, but
Yes.
that's just.
Oh,
generally how
okay,
it
I
works.
didn't know.
Artis,
Thank
I'll
you.
get to you as soon as I hear from my colleagues, and I'm happy to hear Tom, what he has to say in a few minutes.
Mayor Mandy has her
Okay.
hand up.
Okay, Vice Mayor Mandy, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. A couple of things that I just want to note. Number one, I completely agree with Sage. That was one of the first things I thought too. But okay, I know that, the world has changed and things are different, but we used to only have a public restroom at the New State Motor Company building, at the fire department, and inside the artists co-op. I mean, for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And we didn't necessarily have a problem with people dropping trow in the middle of the park. All of a sudden, now we have a problem with this. So I don't think that that is in any way, shape, or form related to availability of a restroom. I also want to note that, okay, I get that having one across from this Spirit Room is really convenient, I don't disagree with that in any way, shape, or form, but there really are two sets of public restrooms on that end of town at the new state and at the fire department. What we don't have is we don't have anything on the other end of town where we always had one inside the co-op,
Correct.
because the one
That's an
inside the
issue.
co-op is closed.
That's an issue. Absolutely.
So if we're going to put another one back in, I would like to see one closer to that end of town. The third thing I want to address is the topic of a permanent public restroom in Middle Park. I'm sure Alex has memories of this. I'm sure Candace does as well, and Jane. This has been a conversation topic as long as I've lived here, and I'm sure it's been a conversation topic before that. When we were looking at paid parking, that was one of those things that the work group talked about as something that the money could be spent on. The unfortunate part is, of course, this year, the money has had to be spent elsewhere because we haven't had the full funding for everything else. But that is something that we've talked about for years. And I think that once we kind of get through the weirdness of budgets right now, and maybe as we're talking about budget for next year, that we discuss that again. So it's not something that we haven't talked about. It's not something that we haven't considered. It's just something that there at this point hasn't been any funding available for, because other things have had to take priority on the funding.
Thank you. But it makes a lot of
That's it.
sense. No, you make a lot
Thank
of
you,
sense.
Dr. Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. And that's a good point. And so let any other council member have a comment before I have Tom?
Alex has her hand up, Mayor.
Alex, sorry, I can't see you. Please,
Yeah.
Alex, go right ahead.
I agree with Mandy that we should talk about having some sort of composting toilet or some sort of toilet down in the lower park area, the middle park area, I'm gonna call it.
Sure.
I also agree with Mandy that in light of Paul and Jerry's and the Spirit Room both being open, with the fire station still having available for public, we do need something down in the lower part of town again, because our artist co-op is still closed with the public restroom. So if we are going to add another porta potty, much to everyone's chagrin of it going back down there by the park, because I think that's really the only place to put it down there. I agree that it is probably needed there more than across the street from the Spirit Room.
Certainly can't disagree with that at all. Yes.
And
Thank you,
Sage has her
Sage.
hand up.
Okay, Sage, yes, please.
I agree with that. I would request that it not be put right next to the park, though. Maybe we could put it over in the back corner by where the recycle bins are at the bottom of the hippie steps or something, instead of right in front of the park, because the smell is not the nicest. For, if someone wants to be having a picnic at the park, that's pretty gross.
Yep, I hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, iPhone has their hand up, and I don't know who
Well,
that is.
that's Patrick. I didn't
Hi,
catch
sorry.
it.
I'm Sarah Harms. I'm the assistant manager at the Artist Co-op.
Hi.
Thanks for having me here. I just wanted to address the bathroom issue right quick. So we're currently open as much as we can be with our limited, we've lost some members and some members are health compromised, so they're not feeling comfortable working shifts. So we're trying to stay open. Our members are still opposed to opening the restrooms. There's health concerns there for them. If we were to get some better ventilation in the restrooms, I think that our members would be way more receptive to opening the bathrooms up.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Let's see where that fits into our discussion for this.
All right. Thanks for hearing me.
Michael, of course. Thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate that. And thanks for the good
Mayor
work.
Jane has her hand up.
Jane, I can't see.
I'm
you.
just wondering if because the bars are not, well, I guess Paul and Jerry's is opening or has opened, that people maybe are drinking on the steps and need a bathroom right there, can't make it to the fire station or something. Is that why
yeah.
that bathroom is so popular?
I know it's a great. I wish I could figure it out too. I don't get it.
No, because yeah, like Mandy said, we haven't needed one there previously,
Yeah.
so.
I like the idea of one strategically placed down at the middle level. And I like.
I
the
think we need to have another discussion about that
Yeah,
one, and
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to go into detail about
Yeah,
what happened to hijack the whole plan for a bathroom down in that metal park, but I think it's a good thing to talk about in the future.
yeah. And Chief Mum, what said what step drinkers were, what was, I can't see that.
Oh, that
He
was
said you were correct when you said all the people are drinking on the stairs and relieving themselves.
yes.
Yeah.
He didn't say it in that exact same words, but you're correct that that's what's going on. When Paul and Jerry's was not open, people were congregating there. So there was really no place to use the bathroom. The Spirit Room turned into, I think, a little bit of a retail establishment more than an actual bar. And I'm not sure about their bathrooms, but I know they had limited hours. But again, you guys, I'm still hiding out. I'm not going uptown, so I don't see what happens on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
It looks
other,
like Sarah Harms has her hand up unless she still has her hand up from before.
who's that, Sage?
Sarah, and
I,
Sage does
I
also.
still have my hand up from before. Sorry,
you
I don't know how
That's
to
a-
get rid of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay,
Okay.
sorry
There you go,
about
good
that.
job.
Sage has her hand up.
Sage, there
This
you go.
is my
Sage,
first
I
real
never
Zoom
worry.
meeting.
The hand is always up. Okay, got it.
I put in the chat, but I don't know that everybody reads the chat. And I just want to suggest also that if we're going to put one back down there, that we put a wash station with it, because people, especially during COVID right now, need to be able to wash their hands after using a public restroom.
Yeah, no, it's good. I thought that was a good idea that we had them both there initially. Yes, absolutely. Good point. So at this point, then I want to get Tom, and then I want to see if we need to make any decisions tonight on this, how you all feel about that.
Okay.
If we're done, let me get Tom's comments briefly, please.
Briefly. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say whoever came up with the porta potty idea was brilliant, because we've needed those down in that area for a long time. And it's not just because of the shutting down the other bathrooms. In the past, people come running into the candy store and saying, "Where's the bathrooms? Where's the bathrooms?" And we'd send them down to the co-op. There's one bathroom at the co-op. It's not enough. We have, it's going to be probably 2 million people this year. I know it's over 1 million. So, and it's growing. We all know it. You can see it by the sales tax. We can see it by our store. We can see it by the vacation rentals. And that's why all the taxes are up, because there's more people coming. And when they come, first place they all park is in our parking lots. And as soon as they get out of the, they've traveled a long way. I know there's bathrooms on the way, but when they get out of the car, first thing they need to do is go use a bathroom. Where are they going to go? Well, right now, across from across from the Spirit Room, because that's where the closest one is. We need 2 down there, I think, and a wash station. It was perfect before, and when they could always be taken down to the by the jail. There's a nice little area down there. A couple of porta potties could be. It's close to the parking lots.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that.
You bet.
We certainly recognize the need. But again, these are not inexpensive. That's one of the things we learned as we went through this. They're not inexpensive to do. I thought they would be more inexpensive. But thank you. We have to evaluate that.
Can I speak one more
Yes.
about the expense?
Yes, please.
I say, let's focus on getting the bathrooms there and worry about the expense later. If we have to raise 50 cents on the parking, but there's a need for it, it has to be done. And if it takes raising more money to pay for those, then we do it that way.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it, Tom. And artists, thank you so much. You both. Appreciate you both very much.
Mayor Sarah Harms has her hand up for real.
Sarah. You're muted.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I just wanted to agree with that. Historically, again, one of our concerns with opening the restrooms, certainly in the busy season, which, you know, we're hoping we do have a busy season, is the number of people in the gallery waiting for the
Yes.
bathrooms.
Yes.
And how to distance them. And, you know, if we're going to have a discussion, like, what are we going to do? You know, like have them take numbers and have them wait outside, because we can have 20 people in line waiting for a bathroom at
Thank you.
times.
No, it's an
So,
issue.
yeah.
It is an issue. That is an
Yes.
issue. Thank you.
Sage has her hand up.
Sage, yes, please.
I would like to suggest that we put another porta potty next to the one across the street from the Spirit Room, and that we put a porta potty and a wash station down at the middle park, and then agendize discussing building public restrooms down in that area somewhere, and maybe trying to find money if our sales tax is so high. I don't know that that would be tourism necessarily, maybe the 1% if we go over it. I mean,
No.
some way to find something, but I think that we could move on with this and go ahead and just put
Yes.
some stuff back.
I think so. And I think, worst case scenario, you can always, if you have to increase the parking 25 cents, 50 cents, a nominal amount, because it is so inexpensive. But I agree with you, Sage. I think we got to do something pretty quick to deal with the issue.
Mayor?
Yes, is there?
I just want to ask a question of the council. Before, when we had the porta potties down by Middle Park, there were 2, maybe 3. I think we actually had a handicapped one there also, 3. And they were all being heavily used. Do you want to put just one back, or do you want to put where it was before? Like I said, I'm a little more optimistic now that we will get reimbursed for 80% of that cost, but I still can't say for sure.
It's worth a gamble. What do my colleagues think about how many? Should we get 1, 2, or 3? With 2 be maybe 1 regular, 1 is a handicap one that could be used by both, obviously. And we'll save a little money rather than having 3. We have 2 with the wash station there in the middle park, and then do a second one up by the Spirit Room. So a total of 3 altogether, 2 down at the middle park with a wash station, 1 up right there. I see thumbs up there from Sage. Anybody?
Mandy has her hand up.
Mandy, please. There you go. Go ahead, Mandy.
If we were having problems with just having the one across from the Spirit Room when we had 3 down in Middle Park, I think that we probably need to consider 2 and 2.
That's what
and
I'm
I definitely
thinking.
agree
Yes,
with the
that's what I'm
wash
recommending.
station.
Yes, that's what I'm recommending.
I don't know, and I guess this is more a procedural thing than anything. I don't. I just want to address what Sage said about the discussion about permanent restrooms. I don't know that that's something that we necessarily have to put on an agenda versus starting that portion of. I mean, eventually, obviously, but maybe starting that portion of the conversation during budget.
Oh, there
That
you
would
go.
be
That's
that would
reasonable.
be where I would want to jump off
Yeah.
at a little
Yeah.
bit, and then also having some background knowledge on that, because there's quite a bit of. I just remember so many ups and downs and ins and
Sure.
outs and twists and turns about those conversations over the last,
Yeah.
19 years. So I'd
No
like to see
worries.
some background information first.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jane
So
has her hand up.
sorry, Candace.
Jane has her hand up.
I just
Jane.
want to make a quick statement about what happened with the bathrooms in the middle park. SHPO did not want us doing some little bathroom building at the back of the park because of its lack of historic characters. They wanted us to build a building up along the street next to the High House, or along, have frontage on the street down there. And that was an issue that none of us could understand why we couldn't just do a little two unit bathroom in the back of the middle park.
And that might be
And that-
something down the road. I would say that's
So-
yeah.
So that needs to be a discussion.
Absolutely. I think during our budget discussion, that would be a good issue to bring up, as you and Mandy both.
But until we know what they're gonna find acceptable and not, Yeah, and
But I
so
think in the
maybe between
meantime-
now and budget, we could
Exactly.
talk to them.
Yes, and in the meantime, to deal with the imminent problem, if the council is okay, I'd like to direct Candace that we add a second porta potty up there across from the Spirit Room, that we put 2 back down in the mid parking with a wash station, and one of the 2 can handle disabled individuals. So I think that way we cover everything, and we're all going into it knowing it's a short term, and hopefully during our budget discussion, we'll be able to think about how do we want to address this for the long term. And hopefully the artist co-op will be able to do what they can do as best they can all along. I want to thank Tom and artists for their input on this. So if we don't have any objections, let's have our direct Candace to go forward with that plan. Is that
Can
okay?
somebody make a motion to that effect? That would be perfect.
Okay, Sage, you want to do that?
I got it.
Sage
So
does.
I would make a motion that we add 1 porta john back to across the street from the Spirit Room. And we bring back 2 porta johns, 1 being handicap and a wash station, and that it be positioned over in the back corner of the parking lot of the middle park, not in the park.
Great.
I'll second.
There is a second. Thank you, Manny. That's great. I think, any further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Carries. So let's go forward with that. Again, Tom, thank you. Artist, thank you. See, you made a difference and helped us develop our solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just wanted a little clarification on where, on the lower area that you were going to put, you suggested?
We're going to put it on your patio.
Where
No.
it was previously?
No.
Not exactly where it was, but in the corner there, out of the way a little bit.
Wait, by the stairway? Up to
Closer
the
over
main,
in the corner back by the recycle bin and the trash cans over there.
so by the candy store,
Closer to the candy store, yes.
where the candy store will get the smell going into the candy store.
Well,
Mm.
you know,
That is just a concern. You know, it's open, our store is open 7 days a week and that door is open. So that is a concern of mine. And was my concern when you guys first put the porta potties there, that the
well,
bees.
we put them in that corner, not on about the sidewalk, but in that corner down there. So it'd be away from your entrance and your windows. It'd be way in that corner,
In the back
in
corner.
the back.
Yeah.
Well, we could try it and, if
Let's see
the
how it works. Yes.
smell
wanna
starts
help.
coming in, then yeah.
We want to be sensitive to that without question. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it, artist.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving right along. Thank you all. Good discussion, great discussion. And we're going to, as we get through our budget discussion, I think we'll be able to address it for the long term and address some of these needs. Thank you. So now we've got our COVID-19 council thing, about how we're doing reopening. My personal-
Dr. Mayor, a quick point of order, if you don't mind.
Yes. Oh, we got our friend, the bee man.
The bee guy. So
Bee.
Mr. Pines has joined us, and
Oh,
I
good.
apologize for.
Thank you for reminding me. That went right out of my head. Hey, thank you for joining us, Patrick. Really appreciate your help.
Thank you for inviting me to your meeting.
Good. You didn't have to dress up. It's okay.
Or travel.
Yeah. So it's good. Did you want to say some things before I open it up to our council members for any questions in particular? Or do you just, are you?
Would you like, Dr. Mayor, would you like me to do a quick introduction?
Yeah, a quick introduction and then we can go on. Yes.
So this is an item that's been continued and discussed. John Knight, Zone Administrator. This is an item that's been continued and discussed for a couple of meetings now. I think we're not quite yet at a solution. We're still in the information gathering phase. And I've been working with Councilmember Harvey to reach out to some quote bee experts, as well as contact some of the folks in town that actually keep bees. And I've learned a little bit about bees, and I was able to connect with Mr. Patrick Pines, who's on the call tonight, and asked him if he would do a brief discussion presentation for us about kind of the difference about maybe a little bit about the so-called feral bees and the kept bees. And then also, I know the council has a lot of questions about how a bee ordinance, if we did implement a beekeeping ordinance, how that might go. And Mr. Pines has had some experience with several jurisdictions in assisting them and reviewing several ordinances. So I think his experience there will be really helpful. And I want to thank him for helping us with this and participating tonight. So
Great.
thank you very much.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Sorry to be late. I've been unemployed since May. I used to teach at NAU, and 115 non-tenure track faculty members were terminated in
Sorry
May.
about
And fortunately, I just started a new job yesterday, so I'm a little distracted.
Good for you. Best wishes.
I've been a beekeeper for about 30 years and 20 years here in our area. I lived in Sedona for several years, still have bees along Oak Creek, and I've had them along the Verity River. I've been to Jerome several times, love the place. Used to work as a gardener and beekeeper at La Posada Hotel in Winslow, so I'm very much aware of the importance of tourism in our economy. And I'm also aware of the conflicts between people and bees. But I think there are ways that we can work with the bees to, stop the conflicts that are happening, whether it's bees that are part of beehives that are being taken care of by people, or wild or feral bees as well. So if you can just let me know a little bit more about, what I can help with as far as what I understand. It's that people in Jerome are coming into conflict with bees being stung or harassed by them. I'm assuming that they're actually honeybees. Sometimes they can be, other kinds of insects, and people don't know the difference between a yellow jacket and a wasp or a honeybee. So anyway, let me know what your issue is, and then maybe I can come up with a solution.
Candace, I think, was someone who really was had some experience with this and concerns, and was really doing some good research on this. I don't see any hands up. Is anybody have a hand up? Yes, I see. Is that Jane?
Jane and Sage both have hands
Jane
up.
and Sage.
Go
Let me get
ahead, Sage.
And then let me get Sage and then Jane, please. Thank you.
Thank
Jane?
you, Patrick, for coming. We were really hoping to get someone that knew about bees before we started really addressing this. So it just seems like in the last year or two, the bees have gotten really excessive up here. I've lived in the same house for almost 4 years now, and we never really had any problems with bees. A little bit at the end of the summer last year, they were starting to show up, but it was almost immediately this year when it started getting warm that I couldn't even hang a hummingbird feeder outside. They would just swarm on it. And now here we are into January. And as soon as the temperature is over 50 degrees, my porch is covered in them. And I have a hummingbird feeder that is a bee proof. They still come. They still come. I know uptown, they're having a lot of problems with the bees, people getting stung. We had one business owner that's been stung over a dozen times by these bees. It just has seemed really excessive. I understand that we're in a really bad drought right now too. So that's kind of the history of what's been going on this last year. My question to you is, if you were to have one of these bees that comes to my house every day still, could you tell the difference between whether it's domesticated or feral?
It'd be really difficult without actually being at the hive that the bees are coming from. But over time, I have figured out how to recognize the differences between what we call a European honeybee, which is like the bee that a lot of people keep in hives, and the Africanized or feral bee. I mean, generally speaking, the feral Africanized bee is slightly smaller, darker, and she moves more rapidly through the
Yeah.
air, sort of like this, whereas the European honeybee is more like a butterfly.
Uh-huh. So I'm pretty sure by the behavior you're saying is that we have the Africanized ones here right now. The ones that come on my porch are so aggressive. As soon as I touch the door anymore, they come at me. I don't even have to open my screen door anymore, and they're coming at me. If I'm sitting on the porch and they come by, they're like this. They don't do the pretty little humming bee coming in. They're just very, very aggressive, almost in a panic, is what
And
it
they-
seems like to me. Yeah.
Sounds like they want to come in the house when you open the
Oh,
door.
yeah. If I open the door, they'll come in here. My husband usually catches them with a clear shot glass and a credit card and tosses them back outside. But it's gotten to the point to where I can't even walk out the front door anymore without being basically attacked. I've been stung sitting in my chair once, but they're very aggressive when I walk outside with me.
Yeah,
that's
Mandy's
very-
saying the same thing, Sage. Mandy's agree at her place on 4th Street. She's having those same kind of bees issue that you're hearing, Patrick. So this aggressive feral type bee that's really maneuvering.
Yeah, this is very different from my own experience of bees. I mean, I think you said something really critical that's important for us to understand as far as the drought, the severity of the drought.
Yeah.
I mean, Flagstaff had its driest year in history the last year, and I can tell from my own bees that they're extremely thirsty, and they are animals. They're social insects, but they're also animals. So they actually drink quite a bit of water. And so I think probably the basic issue here is that aridity, which is unusual right now. And you said that they fly when it's 50 degrees. That does sound like honeybees to me, because they don't fly if it's below 50 degrees. So it does sound like honeybees. Honeybees will forage 2 to 3 miles from their home, maybe even further. So the bees that are visiting you in your area could be close or could be pretty far away. My sense is if they're acting aggressively, I call it defensively, that might be because they're pretty close to where you are. So the closer they are to where you are and the closer you are to where their colony is, the more defensive they're going to feel. So that defensiveness suggests to me that the hive itself could be pretty close to where you're living. If they were 2 or 3 miles away and coming because they're thirsty, they're going to not be as defensive. It's very rare for anyone to be stung by an individual honeybee unless they are very close to the hive, because the bees have a social consciousness and they're all one organism, and they're trying to defend their queen, their food, their babies by stinging someone. And when they do that, they die because the stinger sticks into what they sting and rips out the whole abdomen of the bees. So I think your main problem is probably this drought. And one way that you might try to work with the bees rather than against them, which is my philosophy and practice, is to try to set up places where the bees will come and drink water on a regular basis. Because they are social, they will always go to the same place. Once you set up the water, just like water for cattle, they will always come to that place. So we actually do put water in a place in our backyard, and bees come from all around, including our own hives rather, to drink that water, especially when it's really dry. When there's plenty of rain and snow, they don't come to the water very much at all. So I think this thirst is what is driving this. And you can try to figure out a way to create some water stations, basically. Local beekeepers in Jerome should be doing this anyway. It's actually required, I think in Flagstaff, the code says a beekeeper within the city limits has to provide a water source. So if you can provide water sources And I'd have to explain how to do this, but I can send you some photographs and things like that. But
Great.
just a simple, saucer or something would work. Then all of the bees, because of their social nature, they all want to do the same thing. They're even more social than we are. The whole colony will always go to that water. And if you move that water somewhere else, they will all come and wonder what happened to the water. So
Thank you.
these are just some preliminary thoughts. I hope I'm not going on too long.
No, that's good. No, we just have to move along, but those are good suggestions that are certainly, like the water thing is a possibility. Jane, let me get to you. I don't know if anyone else has their hand up. I can't see, but Jane has a question, please. Jane?
I have a couple of questions. One of the things, I know that one of the beekeepers in town does keep all kinds of stuff to keep her bees at her residence, water, sweet stuff that they're attracted to. And I'm wondering if there's, as you said, you could probably tell the difference between an Africanized and a domesticated honeybee.
Mhm.
And so it might be interesting if we could perhaps catch one of these bees that people are having problems with and compare to
Yeah,
the ones that are being kept.
that's a good idea. You can test the
The
genetics.
one issue with the drought is in town with all the trash cans, and I do definitely think we need to look into some kind of lids that are attached to the top of the trash can that people don't have to lift off, but they can put their trash in there and keeps it covered so the bees aren't going for that. Because it's, you set off a light bulb, because I thought, if these bees are used to coming into the trash cans to get soda pop or whatever it is, ice cream that's being thrown in the trash can, then that's pattern would probably continue with Africanized bees as well.
Yes.
And the other thing, La Posada, I'm familiar with that. I wondered how the beehives worked out with that. And the people right there at the hotel, were the hives near the hotel?
They were actually pretty far away because I actually use Africanized bees. I don't use domesticated honeybees. So I've domesticated Africanized bees. So the ones I had
Interesting.
actually, to make a long story short, they were some of the meanest bees I ever worked with. They were from
Wow.
Grandfather Wash near Camp Verde. So we had to put them out like a quarter mile from in the solar array on the east side of the hotel. And they never had any conflict with any of the people in the hotel. And they would actually come into the reflecting pool that was right in front of the entrance into the hotel, and they would drink water there on a regular basis. And I never heard a single complaint about that, but that's where they would come to get water. And I would worry that, they might accidentally fly into someone as they were walking into the hotel. And these are not just the bees, that I was keeping, but feral bees from all over the place. But luckily nothing ever happened, but they were far enough away from the hotel, to make sure that that didn't happen. But
When you say far enough away, how far?
well, with those kinds of bees, it was a quarter mile, and that's about as far as you want your bees to be away. But Africanized bees of the most defensive variety, they can pursue people up to a quarter mile. But the domesticated bees that are less defensive, you can put them, I probably could have put them in the garden right in front of the hotel, although that never happened. But I had them pretty far away from the hotel, but they were an unusual group of bees. They were highly defensive, and you have to be pretty tough to survive in that environment. I think it rained 5 inches there this year or less. You mentioned the hummingbird feeders and the, like the bees coming to get Coke and Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and stuff like that. We don't usually see that happen much. They don't prefer to drink that. They prefer nectar from flowers. That's their carbohydrate. That's where they get the sugar that allows them to be intelligent creatures just like us. That's where we get, what fuels them is nectar, the sweet nectar from flowers, but they'll drink Mountain Dew if that's the only thing available. And then they'll tell all of their sisters, hey, come to this Mountain Dew, and they do a little, waggle dance to say, okay, here's where you can get it. So during times when it's really dry and there's not much food, that's what they'll eat. But when there's plenty of food, they're not interested in Mountain Dew.
Thank you. Any other, was there, Mandy, did Mandy have a question? Somebody had a hand up, I missed? No?
Could I say one more thing about the hummingbird?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Patrick.
That's really interesting that the bees are still coming, even though they can't get their tongues in there.
Yeah.
So that tells me they're kind of desperate, because that's what I usually recommend is if you're having trouble with hummingbird feeders and the bees coming, the bees' tongues are too short and they can't get into a properly baffled hummingbird feeder. The hummingbirds are indigenous to the Americas, and they co-evolve with flowers that have long floral tubes. And the honeybees, evolved in Africa and Europe, and they have really short tongues and they can't get their tongues into those long flowers.
Thanks, but I see them in our hummingbird feeders too. And last season, they were just surrounding them like crazy.
I'll bet.
Yeah, it's interesting. But the drought is, I think, the issue. You hit it on the head. Any other questions? And I don't know what action we wanted to take this evening. We wanted to be informed. You've done an extraordinary job. We may have you back up here again for a little.
Yeah, no problem.
A little some maybe we'll do a wine tasting. We don't have to do the sweet sodas. We'll do
I like the idea too of maybe collecting some bees and having them tested.
That would be great if we do that, Jay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Councilmember Harvey
I can help in any other way.
Yeah, Sage. Yes, please. If you like that.
Yeah, I can see about letting a couple in so that we can catch them on the windows and then put them in jars, and then I'll let John know that we have them. And
great.
That's very good. Thank you. And thank Mike.
Put them in the freezer.
Put
them in the freezer. Okay.
Okay.
And
We don't have to deliver live subject.
Chocolate syrup on them. Okay, that's all. All right. Any other questions or issues from anyone at this point? I don't know. We're not taking any action tonight. This was an informational visit. So we sincerely appreciate. I'm so excited you got yourself a job, young man.
Me too.
And we will have a further conversation at some point to pick your brain a little bit, and hopefully we'll get to see you up here in Jerome again when the dust settles a little bit.
That would be great. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really much taking the
Appreciate
time.
it.
Much appreciated.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Okay, moving right along. Now to new business, if we may. Oh, we got with COVID-19. As far as reopening town hall, that ain't going to happen. I'd like to just say we don't for at least 2 months. I mean, 1 month is not realistic with the way the numbers are going. I've got no problem doing it for a couple of months from now to bring up the discussion again. We don't have to talk about it every meeting because I don't think we're going to do anything to change it in February at all. Jane, yes, please.
I know it's on the websites. So could we have a case update, current case update, and the vaccine update just for members of the public?
30 in Jerome.
30 in Jerome, right. And I don't have a case number offhand for the county. I know that.
No, just Jerome.
Oh, 30. And that's cumulative. It's up to, so far. It's not necessarily the current cases, but it has gone up pretty steeply recently.
Candace, can I address that for a second?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that's yesterday's number was 30.
Oh.
And Candace is right, it's cumulative. Let's put it this way. As of the 23rd of December, we were at 19. So, and that's, I mean, that's a lot in almost 3 weeks compared to how many we had since the middle of March.
Yeah.
Till the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's definitely different, and it's an unfun process. I'll tell you. I don't wish this on anybody.
No. And just in Cottonwood, they had over 12 cases this past weekend, just in Cottonwood.
Also, regarding the vaccines, on the county's website, it states that phase 1B is expected to start next week. And that includes essential employees other than first responders, which have already been in the first phase. I believe government personnel would fall into that category. It also includes anybody 75 years old or older. And I did hear on the national news that the CDC or the feds are now recommending that anybody 65 years old or older get it immediately, be able to get it right away. But I haven't heard how that might filter down into Arizona yet.
And I'm waiting to hear back. from-
Arizona chose to go with 75 or older. They're one of the few states that did. The CDC recommendation has always been to put 65 and older in the tier 1B.
Thank you. So but Candace will let us all know as soon as we hear
I will.
whatever update. So we appreciate that. Thanks, Jane. So if the council is okay, I'd like to let the public know that we're going to continue to keep the timeline for reopening right now, keep everything going the way we are, but for 2 months, the next 2 months. If that's okay with everyone.
Put it on the March agenda then.
Yes, our March agenda, please. Thank you. New business, item 8A, lease renewal, Jerome Artist Cooperative Gallery. Who's going to guide us through that? Candace?
Do that. I gave you a pretty comprehensive report about this. Their lease expired at the end of November. They would like to renew it. Right now, we're charging them at the rate of 68 cents a square foot, and that's been that way since 2012. At that time, it was increased by 10%. Our leases since then have had the provision that it can increase by 10% a year at council's discretion, but we've never exercised that option. So it's still at that rate, which in the lease is $1,832.74 a month. That is lower than market rate, obviously, and the town attorney has advised us in the past that we are able to do that as long as we can demonstrate that it's a benefit to the entire town that we do so. And in the past, they have made improvements at their own expense. They've maintained the public restrooms. In exchange for that, we did waive the water and sewer fees, and I'll get to that in a minute. And they contributed more than $15,000 toward our roof replacement. I did have a brief email conversation with Rex Peters and said, what can we do? What can we look at going forward? Because those are kind of past tense now over the next period of time. And he indicated that they would be able to help in some way. I don't have any details on that yet. There is a need to replace the front window in the area around the window that's termite ridden. So it's possible they may be able to help us with that cost. And I think Sarah might be able to talk to that. Anyway, they would like to renew it. The last lease was for 3 years. I gave you a draft. Regarding the restrooms, Rex told me they're just not comfortable opening those up right now. And so I did put a provision in the lease, and he's aware of it, that in those times that they're not open, they would pay the water and sewer charges for a small business. And obviously, once they open, that would be waived once again. So I would like to invite Sarah to comment on all that.
Hi, thanks, Candace. We love our space. We appreciate the town giving us our space. As I said before, our members are currently not comfortable opening the restrooms as of yet. And we, as you guys well know, as a co-op, we have to discuss and vote on things to get anything done. Our next membership meeting is going to be January 27th. Rex and I discussed this morning, and again, this has to be voted on and approved by our membership, but we could potentially contribute $5,000 to the front window project, or if looking into some sort of better ventilation system for the restrooms. We would be willing to do that, but I think our budget at this point to contribute is that's what, that's what we would like to do. You know, we're going to present it to the membership at our meeting. But a $5,000 budget to go to, you know, whatever we need to do. The windows or the
Ventilation.
restroom ventilation.
Cool. Jane.
Sage has her
Oh,
hand up.
Sage, sorry, Sage. I can't see you, Sage. My apologies.
It's all right. Go ahead, Jane.
I just want to say once again, and I've said this at a lot of different meetings over the years, that I think having local artists represented benefits the entire community because there are fewer and fewer local artists able to afford rent in this town. And people come here looking for locally made art. And I will say again and again, it benefits the entire town. I know
Absolutely.
Bill and I had that discussion at a meeting years ago, whether it benefited the whole community. Yes, I think it does.
Yes, it does. I agree. Absolutely.
And Sage has her hand up.
Paige?
So I just want to say, I'm not real comfortable with raising anybody's rent right now. We're trying to do everything to keep everybody's businesses going. These guys have already said that they have lost some artists. So that probably means that they've lost some income. And I right now, I would totally be uncomfortable having my bathrooms open to the public too. So I have no problem with them keeping the bathrooms closed. But I think that we should keep them at the lease that we have right now. Let's keep businesses in Jerome and let's not raise the rent and make it harder on them in these times.
But I think, I agree with you, Sage. I think though, if we can look at, I appreciate their willingness to cough up the $5,000 that we could use to either work on the window, work on the ventilation, or a little bit on both. That would be fine. And I think and leaving the rent more or less the same. I mean, we could always go up a nominal amount, but I think certainly for, if we look at that lease, the lease that we would extend now would be for how long, Candace? Another 3
Well,
years?
prior lease was for 3 years. They've been typically 3 years.
I could see maybe making it a little shorter so we can revisit it once we get through all this, maybe 2 years and see where we're at. But certainly I agree with you, Sage, and I agree with you, Jane. I don't want to penalize the artists. I'm all in. It's a critical component. They've got I love their location and the access that they can be seen and so on. I don't know what the window repair, do we have any information on that to replace the damage on that?
No, I think Hunter, who'd been working on that building in general, was looking into that and getting a quote.
So I think, if we go along with Jane and Sage's recommendation to keep the lease the same, but say, yes, we would like the $5,000 contributed to either the window or the ventilation or a little bit to both, and then reevaluate the lease again. I agree, we're doing these hard times to raise rent, not a good idea. How do you all feel, colleagues, of maintaining it a 3-year lease or maybe make it a 2-year lease? And then when things hopefully are better in 2 years, we can maybe revisit it with them. No obligation to raise the rent, but that way we have an opportunity to see how things are doing at that point in time.
Mayor, I just want to point out that the lease does have a provision in it that every year you could raise it 10% if you choose to. You don't have to end the lease in order to do that.
Okay, that makes sense. That's good. So I could go with 3 years then in that case. Yeah. Any other questions or comments from anyone, colleagues?
Alex has her hand up.
Alex, please.
Did you make that a motion, Jack? Because I'm ready to second your motion.
Okay, let's make that a motion that we go forward with the lease, a 3-year lease at the existing rent with the additional $5,000 given by the artist co-op to necessary repairs, whether they be that'll be our decision.
And I will second that motion.
Can we clarify, please, that the lease has a new provision regarding the water sewer payment during those months that thank you. Okay.
Yes, please. Are there any further discussion or questions? Thanks, Alex. Anything? I can't see Mandy, but I assume everything's all right. Hearing none. Call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, so there you go. You've got your lease in place. Congratulations. Thank you for the wonderful, wonderful work that you all do. And let him know that we did it. So good. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And again, I'm sorry if I was speaking out of turn. We're gonna encourage our members to approve the $5,000 as much
There you
as we
go.
can. It was either gonna, we're gonna present it, either we give the town $5,000 or we raise everybody's rent. So,
Yeah, there you go. We're doing the best we can to be sensitive to your needs during these hard times.
and
Absolutely.
absolutely, we appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much.
And
I
thank
will
you for the
relay the
wonderful-
information and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much and keep up the great artwork. Thank you.
Thanks.
All the very best. Stay safe. Moving right along. 8B, request by Paul and Jerry's Saloon for a vending machine on the sidewalk. I want to know what's in the vending machine. That's my question. I just want to know wait a second, what's in the vending machine? That's the critical issue for me. But anyway, I saw a hand up over there. Who was that, Sage?
Paige,
that's me.
Yes, please.
you've got 3 hands up.
Okay. Who,
Nicholas.
is someone here from Paul and Jerry's to talk about this?
So, Dr. Mayor, I did get in touch with Jerry Voynick tonight. He's the applicant.
Yes.
He said he won't be able to join us for the meeting tonight, but he asked that I simply fill him in. And just to clarify, the request is to put a retail vending machine, I believe it's just for soda, on the sidewalk, and that would be in front of Paul and Jerry's Saloon. And I presented a short staff report with some questions and concerns that for the council to consider on that. But that's all I wanted to mention. It is the council's responsibility for anything in the right of way or our public parks. So it's really up.
What's your major concern, please?
Point of inquiry.
Yes.
This is going to have to go to Alex, Sage, and Jane. How long was that vending machine there? Because it was there for the whole time I was here till it got taken out. I'm curious, the 3 of you remember it being installed, or was it just always there?
Thank you. Jane, you had your hand up. You wanted to respond to Mandy's question?
It wasn't on the sidewalk. It was in the alcove there and it was blocking ingress and egress. That's their only entrance and exit.
Yeah.
And so they could only have one door open when that was there
That's a
in the
safety-
alcove.
Yeah, that's
And this is on public property. And
Yeah.
I'll give people a chance to talk because I do want to talk about this too. If
I was just
someone
curious
else-
if anybody knew how long it had been there, because it was just kind of always there.
It was there for a long time until fire safety and occupancy discussions started happening.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Sage, have
And-
your hand up.
Sage,
And
please.
then it did move to the sidewalk. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. It was in the alcove, the way Jane spoke of when I was a child. It was a Coke machine. And then they made them move it out. So it was sitting on the sidewalk. And I don't remember if it's been gone 5 years, 10 years, but it's been gone for a little while. But as long as I can remember, I grew up in this town. It was there where Jane stated in the alcove until they moved it out. Once I was probably a young adult is by the time it got moved out onto the sidewalk. So it was there before, but it has gone away now. So we get to pick it apart on if it's allowed to come back or not. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alex. Sage?
Yeah, I remember exactly the same as Alex. It started out in the alcove and it was just always there. And then probably I want to say when we were like maybe 13, 14, it got moved out to the sidewalk. So by the mid 80s, I was buying my tab from the sidewalk, not from the alcove. Just saying.
Yeah, that's all right. So what's the thought? I'm not, being the newbie in this, what do you think about returning it to the sidewalk? I mean, I know Jane has some comments about that, So
And-
Sage, while
Mandy
you're on.
has her hand up also.
Who does?
Mandy.
Mandy again.
Go
All right,
with
let me
Jane
get to
first.
Jane and then get to Mandy.
It's public property. Are we gonna let every other business that wants to sell stuff on the sidewalk, put their stuff on the sidewalk and sell it?
Well, we let them put
mean-
their benches out there.
But it's not selling anything.
understand.
Retail sales on the sidewalk?
Is that a problem? I don't know. You think it
Yes,
is? You think it
I
is?
think
Okay, good. That's what
so.
I wanted.
I mean, we
that-
have enough clutter and
Sure.
congestion on the sidewalks and in the street, and to start allowing, I mean, does that mean anybody that has a business can automatically put something on a public sidewalk to sell?
Great question. Yeah,
The zoning ordinance also has things to say about outdoor sales of goods.
Okay,
And that's even on private property, and we're talking about public property.
thank you. Mandy, thanks, Jane. Mandy, you had a comment or question?
I was kind of going in the same direction that Jane was. I just always kind of would have put something like a vending machine under, the same category as a hot dog cart, or,
I
that
put it
kind of
by
thing.
their
It's
ATM.
whether there's a human being handing it to you, or you're putting money in a machine, pushing a button and the machine's giving it to you, aren't those things both really just street vendors? I mean, I just always thought about them as being the same thing. I didn't think that because there's not a human with a vending machine that it was any different.
Thank you. So any other discussion, questions, comments on this? So-
I just have a comment, Mayor.
Yes, please.
I think you have to be really careful about this, because you're allowing somebody to profit off of public property. And unless you're doing it as a franchise of some kind where you auction it off to let anybody do it, I think it's
Setting a bad precedent.
a dangerous precedent to set.
Yes, I hear you loud and clear. Thanks, Candace. So I'm not hearing a lot of enthusiasm to go forward with this. So I don't think we will.
I think you should.
Dr. Mayor,
Yes.
I do want, I from a personal standpoint, I kind of miss the convenience, but I don't disagree that this is just opening a huge old can of worms. And I think that that's not the best of ideas
Okay.
to do.
Thank you.
It would be good to have a
Anyone-
motion on this, Mayor.
What's that?
It would be good to have a motion on this, either yay or nay on this.
Any of my colleagues want to make a motion for yay or nay? Jane? Oh, Candace?
Sage.
I'm sorry, Sage, sorry. I'm
I
serious.
will make a motion that we pass this. This is how this works, Jack. I make a motion to pass it, we get a second, and then we do a vote. And then if it goes forward or,
No,
so that's how you make a motion, even though something's not going to pass possibly. So I will make the motion that we approve him putting one on the sidewalk.
is there a
Or
second?
don't approve. I don't know which one you guys want me to do.
Motion.
Which one? I will make the motion to approve putting it on the sidewalk, and we'll go from there.
Is there a second?
Possibly not a second.
No second. Is there a motion to not
I
approve?
have a question
Oh,
that might assist with getting a second. I'm trying to dig through it, but maybe somebody will be quicker and faster. Don't we have something somewhere in our code that talks about street vendors?
Mhm.
In the town code,
Anybody know where that is?
the town code does allow things like mobile vendors, but it's a little bit different. And
Well,
we have,
put in food trucks, but those
Food
have
trucks.
to be,
Right.
right.
And
we do fairly regularly get requests for people to do things like hot dog carts and sales of T-shirts and things in the town parks. So this may be sort of opening those floodgates if we do.
what
do
about
approve this.
the funky pickup trucks they always have parked in front of it? If they put the vending machine in the back of the pickup truck instead of the bicycle?
Then it's a
yeah, those
food,
are all gone.
mobile food vendor, I suppose.
Yeah, I
Mr.
haven't
Mayor?
seen it in a while. So I see Sage has her hand up. but we've had no second on
Me-
that.
I'm reading something and then I might consider it, but give me 30 seconds here.
Take your time. Yes, Sage.
I would like to amend my motion
Yes,
to
please.
not approve him putting one on the sidewalk,
So the motion is now to not approve,
not allow it, yes.
not allow it.
Sorry.
Is there a second for that
Little
motion?
confusing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jane. So now we have a motion not to approve Paul and Jerry's adding a vending machine on their sidewalk, the public property in front of their place. It's a motion and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? So it passes that it is not approved. Thank you. Not an easy one, I get it. Moving to 8C, resolution number 609, a resolution of the Town Council of Jerome, Arizona, supporting the statement of the National League of Cities condemning the recent attack on the United States Capitol building and affirming a peaceful transition of power. I think that's pretty easy. Is there, I'd like to get a motion to approve that. Is there any
Would we like to have, Candace, would we like to have this read in full or just in title?
Whatever you're comfortable with, Mandy, this was your
Yeah.
item, so.
We do typically read resolutions in full, but that's up to the mayor.
Well, this one's pretty obvious to me, but if the council would rather hear the whole one, I do not have the whole one in front of me.
I can read it if you like.
Okay, would people like, okay, so let's.
Or
do-
I have it, Candace, either
Okay,
way.
go ahead, sure.
Go ahead, Mandy.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mayor. Resolution number 609, as read in title by the Dr. Mayor, states, whereas on January 6th, 2021, the United States Capitol building was breached by criminal and seditious rioters in a direct and unprecedented assault upon our democracy. And whereas these insurgents attacked law enforcement, terrorized our duly elected officials and their staff, and desecrated the seat of our government. And whereas 5 people have lost their lives as a result of the violence. And whereas the insurrection forced the temporary stoppage of congressional proceedings under the requirements of the Electoral Count Act. And whereas the orderly proceedings of government after a free and fair election is essential for a functioning democracies at all levels of government. And whereas the National League of Cities has released the following statement in response to that incident, quote, we condemn the acts of violence by the unlawful group of rioters that attacked the U.S. Capitol today and urge our fellow Americans in cities, towns, and villages across the country to remain calm, peaceful, and safe. The president must stop pouring fuel on the flames of division that are now inflicting irreparable harm on our democracy and our nation. As we saw from the leadership shown today from Mayor Muriel Bowser and the Metropolitan Police Department, local leaders will always put our residents first. And we welcome strong leadership and partnership from our fellow public officials at all levels of government to ensure a safe, peaceful, and orderly transition of power during this critical moment for our country, unquote. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and council of the town of Jerome, Arizona, that we condemn in the strongest possible terms the corrupt actions of the extremists who invaded the United States Capitol building on January 6th, 2021. And be it further resolved that our democracy is resilient to such acts of domestic terrorism. And be it further resolved that the peaceful transition of power is part of our most cherished democratic traditions, and our oath to uphold the values of our Constitution is hereby acknowledged and affirmed. And be it further resolved that we hereby express our full and unequivocal support for and wholeheartedly agree with the statement issued by the National League of Cities as set forth above. And be it further resolved that we encourage every citizen to commit to keeping our democracy dynamic and to resolving our differences through debate and elections rather through disorder and lawlessness. And be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be sent to the National League of Cities, the Arizona League of Cities and Towns, United States Senator Kyrsten Sinema, United States Senator Mark Kelly, United States Representative Paul Gosar, Governor Doug Ducey, State Senator Wendy Rogers, State Representative Walt Blackman, and State Representative Brenda Barton. adopted and approved, hopefully, by a majority vote of the Jerome Council. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll second it. Is there any
That
further?
motion- Was that a motion by,
Yes, that was a motion by Mandy.
okay,
Yep.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No. Motion carries. Thank you, Mandy. And I got to tell you, I know we're recording this, but I certainly would like Mr. Gosar to come up to Jerome and explain himself. And I would like Miss Wendy Rogers to do the same. That these are our elected officials and their behavior is just, I'm not happy about it. And we shouldn't be. That's another story. But thank you for that, Mandy, for making us aware of this and for moving it forward. Moving
Thank
right
you.
along to item 9. Do we need an executive session, Candace?
yes, and I need to text Bill, so you might want to take like a 5-minute break.
I'd
while-
like to take a 5-minute break. I know Sage has been waiting for me to do this now, and I have to accommodate her. I'm out of here. I'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right.
Do we need,
Reconvene. We've been on a break. Candace, is everybody here? And we're going to begin our executive session.
We need to, there's at least one person needs to be moved into the waiting room.
And we
Okay.
have to go out of
people.
regular and into executive session.
Yep.
I think we have 3 people.
Okay.
Candace, you're on mute.
Candace, you're on mute.
first we
I'm-
need a motion to go into executive session, then we remove the public after
Right.
we do that. But the motion has to be made in open session.
Can we get a motion, please?
I'll
Motion to
move
go
that
in-
we go into executive session.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We're moving into executive session. Would we please?
I will move people into the waiting room and we will let you back in after the closed session is over if you're still there. Let's see. Okay, the recording is back and I'm going to let people back in from the waiting room.
Thank you.
There's only one at this point.
And the cats.
And the cats, right. Carol's iPad was in the waiting room for some time, so I don't know if she's still really waiting or not, but it says she's connecting to the audio, so we'll give it a minute.
The other 3 people are gone, it
Yeah,
looks
they
like.
are. No, there's nobody else. I don't think she's going to be able to connect. She probably left. Okay.
So do we want, Bill, did you want to make? a
Yes,
comment that we could-
Mr. Mayor and
the
Council,
recording is on? I just want to be sure the recording is on. Yes, I see it. Okay, please, Counselor.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you all have directed the town attorney and the town zoning administrator to look at some various zoning issues in your zoning code as they apply in the various districts, not, for example, for triplexes and duplexes, to make sure that current uses are complying with your zoning code, and if not, to come back to you with a recommendation as to how to best address those uses. Your zoning administrator is going to undertake that effort. I'll work with him, and we'll figure out a way to fairly address the uses that have been undertaken by property owners in your town, while we commence a process of rigorously enforcing the zoning code going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. Excellent. So moving right along, any questions or before we let our attorney go back to
I'm
reality?
going to take my tie off and have a beer.
Take his tie off and have a beard and enjoy his sweatband.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you all. I enjoy working with you. Bye-bye.
We appreciate you very much. All the best. Stay safe. Thank you. Moving now on to and from the council. And so does anyone have any input for that? I've got some ideas, but I want to hear if anyone would like to have something that they would like to have items placed on a future agenda, please. Anyone?
Of course I do, Dr. Mayor.
I knew. Listen, and Sage is hiding back there somewhere too. I know she, and Jade, I know.
Come on, we're getting used to each other's patterns, right?
I know. I love it. Assertive women are the best. I love it. Okay. Please, Vice Mayor, you're on.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. Two froms. I am going to reiterate the stuff I said last month, which is I'd like an update on parking inventory, whether that happens at a meeting or is just something that we get as an informational update. I'd like to see where we're at with that now that we're into the new year. I had on here, when are we going to meet about code enforcement again? But I know we talked about that already. And then job descriptions. Again, possibly e-session. I'm not sure how much of that qualifies for one or the other. I'm really specifically looking at department heads, I think is probably where we need to start, but also any job description that requires residency, certain certifications, or where we only have one person who does that job. What do we do for a backup situation? I'm gonna toss out there like our court clerk. We only have one. And if she, for some reason, cannot be there, what do we do? And there's no plan of, can we borrow from somewhere else? So I want to make sure that we are covering especially those types of positions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I don't know, Sage, did you have anything you'd like to comment on for to and from?
Not this time, thank you.
No, great, good. Jane, yes, please, Jane.
Temporary signage, I'm assuming that we're gonna have some discussion on that at some point.
Yes.
Okay, and the other thing, I think there are some water issues that we need to talk about, and I'm not sure it needs to be at a regular meeting, maybe.
Special.
And I think we may need to have, I'm not even sure how to go about some of the discussion, and part of it may need to be an executive session, but yes, water. Our water lines.
Thank you. I don't see Alex. Alex, did you have anything you'd like to add, or are you okay?
I do not at this time. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Good. And from my perspective, one of the things that, we've all been experiencing this very difficult time now, and I must share with that. I may have said something earlier. I'm very disappointed with some of our elected leaders in the big scale, like Representative Gosar and Wendy Rogers. And I'd like to get your thoughts and see if we, from to and from the council, whether we can invite them to come and meet us and speak to us so they can represent us and not just the politics of that they are, facing, that they're doing. I don't see them representing us at all and caring about what a town like Jerome has as issues. And I would like to invite them to come and speak to us and meet us and share with us how they see they can help us be better, more sustainable, and how they're meeting our needs as our elected officials. I love the fact that our U.S. Senator has reached out to us with the veterans, and she, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank on her now. What's that?
Kirsten
Kirsten, and has really reached out, and that's wonderful. And I think that's great. I want the same kind of attention from Representative Gosar and Wendy Rogers. So however it's appropriate that we reach out to them, I'd like us to do that so we can have them come to us and visit with us and talk with us. Any other? Are we there? Okay. Having said that, now I'd love to hear a motion for adjournment if someone is so inclined.
Motion to adjourn.
Boy, I knew I could count on you there, young lady.
Second.
And there's a second. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, we are adjourned at 9:39 in the evening. Thank you all so very much. Please stay safe.